A summit between the European Union and the United Kingdom, set to take place on the 22nd of July, is looking increasingly doubtful after UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced his resignation on Monday. Brussels confirmed that the plans are being reassessed.
On the question of the EU-UK summit, against the announcement this morning of the resignation by Prime Minister Starmer, we are reassessing with President Costa and the UK the opportunity of still holding the summit as had been announced last week, and we will take it from here.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
Starmer's government had made restoring strained post-Brexit ties with the European Union a priority of his mandate. He was closing in on a series of deals to bolster trade, integrate electricity markets and boost youth mobility in time for the July summit, the second of its kind. Speaking from a podium in front of number 10 Downing Street on Monday, Starmer laid out a timetable for his departure that would see a new Prime Minister installed by September at the latest. But it is now looking increasingly likely that Andy Burnham, the former mayor of Greater Manchester, who's considered the favourite to succeed Starmer, could step into the role in mid-July. Peter Murrell, the former chief executive of the Scottish National Party and ex-husband of Scotland's former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, has been sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison. The 61-year-old was convicted in May of embezzling more than £400,000 of party funds.
If you had been found guilty of this charge after trial, I would have imposed a sentence of 7 years imprisonment. Having pled guilty at the preliminary hearing, I impose a sentence of 5 years, 3 months imprisonment. I shall backdate that sentence to the 25th of May 2026, when you're first remanded in custody.
Some of his purchases included 2 luxury watches, a coffee machine, items from Montblanc and a motorhome. The police received a complaint for possible mismanagement of the party finances in 2021. Officers carried out a search of Murrell's home in 2023 and arrested him. Murrell served as chief executive of the SNP from 2001 to 2023. Police Scotland said the sentence was proof that those who flout the law will not escape justice, regardless of how high a profile or role they may hold.
And the authorization of the activity is one issue, and alleged misconduct is a different type of question.
The European Commission has stated that former Commissioner Dimitris Avramopoulos' approved NGO activities are a separate matter from the alleged misconduct, which is suspected to be a part of the ongoing Qatargate investigation. When asked whether the Commission's credibility is damaged, the spokesperson underlined that everything was done by the book.
At that time and at that moment, back in 2022, when we looked at the matter, we had no indication of any breach of the conditions that were included in the respective college decision.
In contrast to the Commission's ethical and practical procedures, Avramopoulos' NGO activities are being investigated as part of a cash for influence corruption network. For that purpose, the Belgian Supreme Court Prosecutor's Office has just forwarded a European arrest warrant to the Greek Parliament, along with a formal request to lift Avramopoulos' immunity, as he is still a member of the ruling New Democracy Party. After his term as Commissioner ended in 2019, Avramopoulos has become a member of the honorary board of Fight Impunity, an NGO founded by the suspected mastermind Antonio Panzeri to influence European Parliament decision-making, and received €75,000 in total. Avramopoulos categorically rejects any involvement in the case and states that he will not invoke parliamentary immunity, calling for a full judicial investigation. The former Migration Commissioner stated that all monthly payments were transparently declared, taxed and formally approved by the European Commission.
New health risks, rapidly evolving and even more complex drug markets. This is the alert launched on Tuesday by the European Union Drugs Agency. The annual report, based on data from 27 EU member states plus Turkey and Norway, is concerned about the availability of these substances, but also about their variety and potency. This is the case, for example, with new synthetic opioids.
New synthetic opioids are very highly potent substances. So just to give you some context on this, 1 gram is enough to make several thousands of lethal doses. So there is a very narrow margin of between use and overdose in that situation. They can rapidly emerge on the market. The situation can escalate and cause severe harms, including deaths.
Cannabis remains the most commonly used illicit drug in Europe, with 24.9 million Europeans claiming to have used it last year. Despite being well established, this market shows that traffickers and markets are constantly evolving.
One of the concerns in terms of cannabis itself would be diversion from new markets. That of course can always happen, and the increasing emergence of higher strength cannabis products in the European market. In some resin forms, for example, we are seeing purity of up to 33%. And of course, the higher the THC component in the drug, the more likelihood it is with longer term use to cause psychosis.
The European agency is pleased, however, about a decrease in cocaine seizures. 330 tons were intercepted in 2024 compared to 419 tons the previous year. Despite this figure, the substance accounts for a third of people entering drug treatment in Europe. Faced with health and security risks, the agency calls on member states to invest in monitoring and preparedness and to act on both supply and demand.
Meteo France on Tuesday placed 54 departments covering much of the western half of the country on red alert and 35 other departments on orange heat wave alert following forecast of exceptionally high temperatures for the week. According to the Weather Alert Agency, daytime temperatures will rise to 40 degrees and even 42 degrees in the west, while nighttime lows will not fall below 18 to 24 degrees across most of France. In total, more than 90% of the French population is exposed to extreme exceptional heat this week. The alerts come after at least 40 people were reported to have drowned in France while swimming in unsupervised areas to seek relief from a heat wave gripping the country and other parts of Europe. Speaking after a crisis meeting on Tuesday, Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu said the death toll since Thursday was mainly young people. Meanwhile, Spain kicked off the summer with large parts of the country on alert due to temperatures expected to hover around 40 degrees Celsius. In the capital, Madrid, tourists and locals sought shade, cold drinks and ice cream to keep cool. The heatwave is expected to scorch Spain at least through Wednesday, while Belgium, Germany, Italy and the UK continue to experience sweltering temperatures. More than 200,000 people across Europe died from heat-related causes over the last 4 years, and most of the fatalities were preventable, according to the World Health Organization (WHO).
Climate scientists have warned Europeans of the dangers of tropical nights as yet another scorching heat wave grips the continent. Tropical nights occur when the temperature never falls below 20 degrees Celsius within a 24-hour period. While some countries are used to it, cooler nations are witnessing this phenomenon more frequently, particularly during heat waves. In the United Kingdom, the likelihood of experiencing 3 consecutive tropical nights in July has increased significantly due to climate change, the UK's Met Office found. While in a pre-industrial climate, such an event had a probability of less than 1% per year in the UK, that probability has now risen to approximately 20% per year. Tropical nights can have a significant impact on human health as the body regulates its core temperature during the night and recovers from daytime heat. This can lead to increased cardiovascular stress and sleep disturbance. Studies have shown that high nighttime temperatures are also linked to increased mortality, particularly among older adults and those with pre-existing health conditions. As a result, some schools are now considering changing exam times to help protect students who aren't sleeping well due to high temperatures at night.
The German government has announced that it intends to acquire 40% of the defense contractor KNDS, a move designed to bolster European arms production in partnership with its NATO and EU ally France. The decision deepens state involvement in a company whose hardware has become central to Europe's rearmament efforts. In a joint statement, Germany and France said they had agreed on the future strategy and governance of KNDS, which they intend to co-own through arrangements aimed at giving both countries equal shareholdings. Berlin framed the investment in explicitly strategic terms, saying it would secure lasting influence over a business it considers vital to European security and defense. The timing reflects a broader scramble across Europe to expand military spending and manufacturing capacity, as governments weigh the continued threat from Russia's war in Ukraine against growing doubts about the reliability of the US as a security guarantor.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has ordered a major expansion of his country's nuclear arsenal, claiming military coordination between South Korea and the United States is pushing the region to the brink of nuclear war. Reporting on a ruling Workers' Party meeting early Tuesday, state media agency KCNA launched a sweeping attack on Western foreign policy. While not directly quoting Kim, the official report condemned what it described as rampant modern ultranationalism, explicitly targeting the America First doctrine, Zionism, Ukrainian neo-Nazism, and Japanese militarism. The broadcast also took aim at Washington's military alliances in Asia and its involvement in the Middle East. Pyongyang has consistently doubled down on its self-declared irreversible nuclear status since the 2019 Hanoi summit between Kim and Donald Trump collapsed over denuclearization and sanctions relief.